Hey guys, it's a beautiful rainy day here in Michigan. So we're gonna get the car unloaded, so we can get the body lifted off this thing and seeing what the frame looks like on this. And, we'll shoot some video as well of, some of the work that was done on the body when I get it up. I'll show you some of what was going on and maybe a direction of where I'm headed with the car. So I got a couple of irons in the fire, some different things I'm thinking of. So let me get this thing off, and then probably not today. It's Friday. It's rainy and miserable out. I'm sure my wife's going to want to go out and get a bite to eat after working all week as well. So then we'll hit it hard over the weekend and see if we can get the body lifted up and start to, looking at some things. But I'm getting ready to go to Canfield, Ohio. There's the big swap meet. So I think I'm going to make a trip over there, maybe stop at Summit as well and hit the scratch and dent area. So it'll probably be Sunday before I start working on this thing, lifting the body up and taking a look at things. So anyway, let's get it off and probably get back with you guys on Sunday. All right, guys, so I've got the car jacked up, and as you can see, both tires spin forward. So, tells me one of three things. It's got a posi, it's got a spool, well, I suppose four, it's welded, those three things, I guess: spool, welded, or posi. So, there we go. She's not an open. So we may have a 433 gear in this thing, along with the posi unit, which is kind of nice. All right, guys, we're back in the shop, and we are getting ready to lift up the body off the frame so I can actually see what the frame looks like, because, I really don't have any idea. So I pulled all that out, right, from inside the car, and it's got a brand new floor pan on that side, on the driver's side. The drinker's side, as Vice Grip likes to say, if you notice, right, that's all sealed up, that's not cut out. If you notice here's the factory floor pan. It's got the hole there, so it's got that piece you screw in. So it looks like we've got a passenger original floor, I believe, and then a replacement driver's side. I'm really curious to cut those out here in the future and see what that does. I found a few things I don't like about the wheel tub stuff. I'll try to show you guys here in a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 boards together. So there'll be a total of 6 boards. These are unfortunately only 6-footers. I need at least, like 8 foot to go across the width so I can roll the frame, underneath the body so I can do stuff. So I'm going to use some of those and some of these, kind of nail them all together, for support. And so I'll have 3, together for the front to go across, and then 3 in the back here, put it under here and put it under here somewhere. And I'm trying to get all the weight out of the back end so she doesn't, do that on me, right? Basically, there's the ass end hangs over a couple of feet, so I don't want that weight back there to lift up, the front of this off the boards. So I'm going to be putting in the other seat back onto that side, so I got the big fat up there. That is the driver's side that has the hole in it that won't hold air. By the way, guys, those are over $600 a piece now, I believe, for, a 3118 tire. So, we're talking, $1,200, $1,300 for a new pair of tires. So I'm going to throw, I got another steering gear I'll throw up here. Try to throw a little bit more weight up in the front, to kind of keep the front down, if you will, so the back doesn't want to, like I said, take it off the board over here. So anyway, let me put some boards together, Let me get my cherry picker out and we'll figure out how to get this thing up so I can roll the frame out from underneath this thing. So guys, looks like the steering wheel's in better shape than I thought it was. Looks like we just have a crack there and a crack there. Looks like, I thought those were cracks, but that looks like just part of the design where it steps. So actually it's not too bad. The emblem could use a good polish, it looks like, and maybe I'm not sure if that's aluminum or what that is, but you know, and then the column probably be torn apart and repainted. But otherwise, actually, the column's not too terribly bad. She just looks bad. You know, obviously this is bad, but we can, you know, come up with one of those. Maybe sandblast it, paint it just to make it look nice. Do something simple. All right, guys, here's a little better look at the trunk. I've got it cleaned out. This was a new trunk pan put in. You can see right there's the weld from the new trunk pan that was installed. So that was done, and you know, we'll have to fix this. Looks like looks like where the weld nut there. Oh, it's over here to the side. Oh, it's right there, where you bolt in, you know, for the frame. Anyway, I think I'm to the point where I'm ready to try and attempt to lift the body off here once I take care of them boards. Well, guys, we're going to try this. So I've got, you know, my engine hoist there, a couple of tie straps, you know, wrapped and connected to the chain. Got my board ready, got a couple of jack stands on either side. Let's see if we can at least get this thing up underneath the frame and the body, and then I can take a floor jack maybe, and along with the crane and the floor jack, lift the body up then so I can get these underneath there. So let's see what happens. Guys, I got it up on the front, and it's holding fine. It is a little rickety, I will say that. So need to kind of figure out here what to do, because I'm sure I'm start lifting the back. The front could come crashing down. So what I may do is lower the back down a little bit, you know, just so it's slightly up, and then start, you know, seeing how it teeters and totters, right? So that way it's only falling a little bit. So let me, because I have no idea how I'm going to lift the back of this thing up. Anyway, let me set the front of this thing back down a little bit, so it's only a little bit off the frame. Then we'll start figuring the back out and kind of maybe work its way up a little bit, so to speak. All right, guys, so you can see we have a little bit of separation now in the back. So I put that chain around the rear roll bar there, which is, by the way, all just tacked in. I need to put the board in yet. Yeah, I know I'm an idiot. And then I'm gonna have to take this back tire off. So, and then I think I'm gonna have to take the front tires off, put the jack under it so I can slide it back, because those tires are too big, even with, you know, it being up higher. So I'm gonna have to take them off, put a jack under it, pull this tire off, you know, set it on the boards, and then I think I can roll it back, and I think I'll have enough clearance with a small tire. So we're about to find out. So let me go ahead and throw a board under this real quick, up real high, and see what happens. All right, guys, so we got the back up, I think about 4 clicks, and I got the pins in. These are 6-ton jacks. So I'm gonna raise the front up a few clicks as well. And so that way I've got a little more clearance underneath. And then I'll figure out how to roll this thing back, you know, the frame, so I can take a good look at that rear suspension and take a look at, you know, the tub work and stuff, and give you guys a little idea kind of what's going on. And then we'll go from there, guys. So, you know, like I said, I'm probably gonna have to take these front tires off. I have a couple of these, you know, carts that I've got like an engine block sitting on and a transmission, and I've got another one back there. So that way I can maybe set this on one of these carts so it'll be nice and low, and then I can kind of move the frame back so I can take a good look at this thing. But I still got to take the tires off. The rear tires will not clear. All right, guys, here's the final height, at least I'm going to do for now. So I think it's pretty level front to back, I believe. I added more weight. I put the tire back up there. I added, you know, a couple of big chains in the front, you know, and when I try to lift this up in the front, it does not rock at all. It does not want to, you know, with the tail end being heavy, it doesn't want to, you know, be tail end and lift the front of this nose up. So now let's take some tires off, figure out how I'm going to, even the control arms, right, are going to hit the board. So I got to get this thing down low, so when I go to roll it back, it'll clear. So the front tires have to come off, both rear tires, so I can try to slide this frame back and take a look at what's going on back there. Well, guys, I'm under here and I've got the tires off, and I'm not sure if that's an optical illusion. I know the bracket is bent, but I'm wondering if the shock is too. You know, something just don't look right when I look at it. You know, you can see here, he used some, I think it's 2x3, and I don't know, you can see it better on this one. You know, it wasn't finished at the bottom there. You know, I would have like pie cut the side and then beat it up and welded it, you know, so it was more finished. So that's, you know, something that, you know, it's going to need to be addressed. But anyway, let me figure out how I'm going to get this thing out of here. I'm going to have to put a couple blocks of wood under this to raise it up a little bit, because if I put these under the shock bodies, then, you know, it's too high and the frame will hit the pan here. So I need to get this thing down a little closer to ground before I can roll it out. All right, guys, so here is the rear suspension. So the front suspension is all stock, but the rear suspension, you can see he cut the original frame and made it a ladder bar suspension setup. You know, he didn't buy the, you know, like you can, like for nothing, you know what I mean? You can buy basically a prefabbed one and just weld it, you know, right there, and you're more or less done with it. There's several things that I'm noticing with it that, you know, I personally don't like. One thing I noticed is that bar is bent in. This one, you know, you can see is more square. That one is, you know, tweaked inward, or I guess outward, not inward, but tweaked out. So I'm not sure, you know, the frame may, you know, line up not, you know, okay, but that's one thing. You can see right there, you can still see some of the, well, maybe you can't. You can still see there where there was some of the original cross member. That's not a big deal, right? You just grind that kind of stuff out, but you know, that stuff's missing. By the way, these are single adjustable shocks. These are, I believe they are competition engineering. So, you know, you can turn that knob and you got some single adjustables there. I still want to take that one off and see if it's bent. I'm curious, you can see here, and the same on the other side, that's where the axle tube was welded, you know, when they shortened it up. I'm curious to pull the axles out and take a look, you know, how they welded the axles. Something else that I noticed, let me grab my flashlight here. I mean, this was boxed, I think, pretty decent. I mean, welds could have been a little better. But if you look here, you know, the main support bar there, you know, was lengthened. I'm sure it wasn't shortened. I'm sure it was lengthened. You know, my concerns me is, was there a sleeve put in there or not? If there was no sleeve put in there and that was basically just butt welded, you know, that doesn't give it any strength. So that bar could, you know, come loose and cause damage. You know, again, here's where you can see this tube was welded right there. You know, like I said, I want to take that shock off, see if I can bend that bracket up, see if that shock is damaged or bent. I'll pull the axle apart, guys, because I'm curious to see the welds on it. You know, curiosity kills the cat, right? You know, this looks like at one time it was a really solid frame. Like it was rust-free almost. You can see a lot of the holes, right, are not all messed up on these A-bodies. That one is, you know, it was starting to go. There's another one up front. You know, you notice those holes look really good. You know, that one over there looks really good. You know, the side ones there looked really good. There was one in the very front that was messed up. But this, guys, was at one time a really, really solid frame. So there's several things I do not like about this rear ladder bar suspension setup. And there's several things I don't like about the tubs and whatnot as well. So I'm really starting to think, what am I going to do with this to make it better? So anyway, let me pull a few more things apart. Let me inspect a few more things. I don't know if there's a diff fluid in there, but I'm going to jack this up, put a pan under there and catch all the diff fluid so I can pull the axles out and see what they look like. All right, guys, there was no gear lube in it, but there it is. She is a, you know, limited slip, posi, whatever you want to call it. So that is always a good thing. So guys, being that this is also a bolt-in axles, as you can see, there's no pin to remove on this, so I should be able to just unbolt the 4 bolts and pull the axles out. And then we can take a look at the weld job on the axles to see how they were shortened. All right, guys, here, let me find somewhere to set this. So if you notice, right, this is the passenger axle, and you can see how it goes thick here, and then it's thin here, and then, you know, it was welded right here. Now, the guy that previously owned it told me a guy that welded up axles, you know, for other racers had a lot of experience doing this. But, you know, again, this was built to be a cruiser, not a car with a lot of power. So you can see a thick axle, it tapers down to a thin one. I'd be curious to put a straight edge up against this and see what it looks like. Hang on, let me actually find a flat spot and we'll put a straight edge up here, and I'm just kind of curious. All right, guys, so here's a straight edge, and you can see it, we'll just rest it here just for comparison from side to side. And then you can see the gap there as it rests up against here. All right, now let me come over here. And do the same thing. And there. So let me look at that other side again. See how the gap looks. Obviously, I'm expecting a gap on both sides, but what I'm curious of is if there's one more on one than the other side. Yeah, there's a lot more gap to this side. So I don't think this axle is straight, to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time checking, but that's a big concern to me. Let's spin it. Let's check it at another spot. All right, try to hold the level about the same. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's not as bad on this side. The other one seemed to be worse. Anyway, guys, I don't know if I trust a welded axle. So let me peel the other one apart and see what it looks like. Well, guys, this is rather interesting. I'm not sure if you can see it, but you know, remember this is where it kind of tapers, and then he welded, right, this part here. Here's the driver's side, and down here, right here is the taper of the axle. And then, you know, this is same diameter to same diameter right here is where it was welded. Where this one, you know, is thicker here, and you can kind of feel it right here is where the taper roughly was on this side for some reason, the passenger. And then he welded the shaft to it. So rather interesting how that was done. You know, like I said, you can feel the taper right here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it tapers, you know, right there. This one, you know, I'm rubbing my finger up and down. You can't feel the taper. You can kind of feel it right there, you know, where it starts to neck down at that point. So it's rather interesting. So they're the same, you know, length axles, but yeah, there's definitely a difference. Let me see if I can get a flashlight. All right, guys, there we go. Coilover is bent. So this coilover is absolutely garbage. So that's unfortunate. So let me see if I can straighten the bracket and put one of the bars in there that it came with, and you know, maybe I'll unbolt the other one too and just put the bar in there for right now. But yeah, this coilover is absolutely junk. So guys, one of the other things I don't like is this is on the passenger side. You can see here's the interior of the car, and we'll come down in here. We'll take a look and see how the wheel tub was miscut, you know, and kind of somewhat patched up. So I'd have to rip all these wheel tubs out and redo wheel tubs too. So that's not something I really, you see the welds there where I think there was a couple of, you know, where something was done and something else was done here. I haven't looked inside under the wheel tubs yet to see, but that's what I'm speculating. All right, guys, so we are under the car, looking at the wheelhouse here, you know, where I've shown you the inside, and you can see, you know, right there is that patch that was kind of put in where it was miscut. So, you know, he welded there and then he tack welded it, you know, to the quarter panel. And I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. I think you were actually supposed to create like a tab or something if I read some directions. I've never installed wheel tubs, guys, so I can't say if this is right or wrong. But I don't think it's right. I think you're supposed to do a tab or something and then mount it. You can see there's kind of a piece that was done, and you know, here's more pieces that were done. So here is, yeah, so I'm curious to look under that other shell body, you know, over here, what it looks like, you know, in these areas. So anyway, you know, you can see something very similar, guys, was done over there. Anyway, looks like you got a little rust work to do here to make that cleaned up and manageable. Anyway, got some decisions to make, but let me pull the axle apart and we'll take a look and see what that looks like. All right, guys, let's talk about the roof here just a little bit. And you can see, I don't remember how much it was chopped. I think 3 to 4 inches, you know, somewhere in this area, right, with the patches. And you can see it, you know, he stretched it down here as well. So, you know, basically I'm going to need that whole other roof from this car, have to figure out how to cut this one off and, you know, make it work on this one. But, you know, we're going to replace the roof on this for sure. That is one thing I can guarantee that's going to happen. You know, you get a new roof, and there's a lot of good, you know, metal in here if I need it, you know, to repair this roof, because this roof does have some, you know, damage down here in the corners, which is typical of these cars. So we'll need to fix that. So this is actually, I don't know what year Bonneville this is from, but this is actually a Bonneville rough skin that, he laid on top for this. And then you can see somewhere right about here, it looks like it was, is where he cut it to chop it down. He put inside of here rebar, welded in, I guess, a little bit of rebar to help reinforce this. I'll probably end up going a little further down, somewhere in this area to cut it, to put in the new roof. And then he put in this, again, this was for aesthetics. And you can kind of see here that, he chopped it here. I don't know if you can see it, but he chopped it here to kind of make this whole thing work, and it's off a little bit. This is going to come out, I'm not going to use any of that whatsoever. So you can see, it's basically just, spot welded in. This one's got a little bit more weld there, so we'll have to kind of cut and grind all that out, and take this out. You can see here in the wheel tubs, how we cut the supports and kind of did that there. So, we'll need to do something back here to maybe make it a little better, depending on what direction I decide to go with this car. It still has in the back, so, he did weld in the hood hinge support area there. They're good on that car, so if I did decide to do something with, different, I can use those. So this body could generate me a lot of parts, depending on, I guess, what direction I decide to go with this thing. Don't know yet. Haven't figured out what I want to do, but I've got options. So going to get this shell body gives me options, or this gives me options. So like I said, guys, I'm not sure what I'm going to do just yet. The more I look at this, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to go the Pro Street route. Figure it out. So guys, as you can see, got a lot of work ahead of me, just depending on what I decide to do with this GTO. I haven't made up my mind yet. She's rough. She needs a lot of love. So like I said, I haven't made up my mind 100% if I'm going to do drag and drive, put it back to normal. If I put it back to normal, I'm thinking I'll just, finish it nice. Have a fun driver. I'm not going to go spend a lot of money on it. I'm going to make it just a cool car. If I decide to go drag and drive, well, then, I got to upgrade the axle and, definitely either way, the frame's going to get stiffened up and reinforced to make it better. I got a lot of decisions to make depending on what I'm going to do with this thing. So with that said, guys, I think that wraps up this video. You can see, I got more work cut out for me. Project Jigsaw is going to be, labor of love. It's going to take me a couple of years, obviously, to get it done. So we'll follow along, guys, and see how the adventure goes. Every minute you watch, every like, subscribe, every share, helps me out, because all the money is going to go right back into the car. I'm going to invest the money into it, and hope that you guys can come along for the journey. Watch me learn or make mistakes, and try to get better as a fabricator and see what we can do. So yeah, anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and please like, subscribe, hit the little bell, as they say, all that. I'm going to try to put, continue weekly videos, but depending on how far I get on some of this stuff, it might not be every week anymore. I want to put out some good content for you guys. So anyway, take care, have a great day in your shop, and follow along with this journey.